Today I'm going to tell you fantastic, unbelievable tale of a Maharaja with whom so many superlatives were attached. He ruled over one of the two biggest states in India. I'm talking about the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad. His name is big. Rustame Dora Arustue Zama Wal Mamalik Asif Jah Nawab Mir Usman Ali Khar Bahadur Muzaffarful Milk Nizam al Mud Sipah Salar Fateh Jang, His Exalted Highness, most faithful ally of the British Crown, the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad. But he is known more popularly as Mir Usman Ali. This man ruled over a state that was equivalent to England and Scotland put together. He ruled over 20 million Muslims and 300,000 Hindus. He was the richest man in 1947. He had appeared on the cover page of the Times, and he was the only man who was conferred the title of His Exalted Highness by the British in recognition of his contribution to the British war chest during the World War II of 25 million pounds. A pound is almost equivalent to 90 rupees to 100 rupees these days. So you can understand the kind of wealth he gave to the British, for which he was honored as His Exalted Highness. This man was the richest and the most miserly. He had a 282 carat diamond called Jacob diamond, which he used as a paperweight. He had given a diamond necklace so precious, it was worn by the Queen, it is still worn by the Queen, and it's known as the Diamond of Hyderabad. In the backyard of his palace, in an unkempt garden, scores of trucks were parked deep up to their axles because they were never moved, and they contained golden ingots, the square golden biscuits. Scores of trucks. In the basement of his palace, there were heaps of diamonds, rubies, emeralds, and other precious stones, and the collection of his pearls could fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. He had at that time assets worth 2 billion pounds, about 2% of America's economy at that time. In the basement, in wooden almirahs, wrapped up in old newspapers, were hundreds of thousands of British currency and Indian currency wrapped up in old newspapers, and rats every year ate thousands of those notes, thousands of pounds and notes. And yet, the Nizam wore crumpled pajamas when he was not showing up in public, sagging socks, and then the pajamas rolled up, and in between you could see the lower portion of his leg. The sandals that he wore were bought from a local market, very, very cheap. The fez, the fur cap that he wore for 35 years, the same cap, dandruff infested, he never changed it. He had a dinner service, gold service for 100 people. 100 people could eat in his dining hall in golden plates and set, and he himself ate in tin plates, squatted on the floor of his bedroom. And his bedroom was not better or worse than a slum, with sagging bed, a side table, wooden side table, and 3 kitchen chairs. He always carried with himself the list of all his jewels, all his precious belongings with him. His tales of affluence were only offset by his tales of miserliness. His bedroom was littered with the butts of cigarettes he smoked. There were cobwebs on the roof, and it would be emptied, it would be cleaned only once a year on his birthday. Every Sunday, the British resident would call on him after the service in the church, and the fixed menu was he would be offered a cookie, a cup of tea, and a cigarette. One day, VP Menon, the advisor to Indian government, who was a very influential man, visited him, and Nizam, Usman Ali, offered him the cigarette that he used to smoke, Charminar, manufactured in Hyderabad. That was the cheapest cigarette in Hyderabad, Charminar. Somehow VP Menon didn't like it, so he gave it politely back and offered him his brand of cigarettes. Nizam smoked it, it found it good, so he asked for 4 or 5 more and kept it in the cigarette box. Next time, a few days later, when VP Menon again visited him, he offered him the same cigarettes. One day, the British resident brought a guest along, and he was also given the same treatment: 1 cookie, 1 tea, 1 cigarette. Talking of cigarette, he would even smoke the stubs left by his guests. He would smoke them. Usman Ali, the 7th Nizam of Hyderabad, did build some good schools, colleges, institutions, medical, but he would probably squeeze more money than he spent in almost all his ventures. I'll give an example. He would, during his several banquets, would offer champagne, but the champagne was to be served only to a special person to honor him. And it was customary that when he sent the champagne to a particular person, not to everybody, he would be paying back to him as a token 1,000 rupees. Remember, in those days, probably 20 rupees to 50 rupees were enough for a 4-piece family on a monthly basis. He would get 1,000 rupees and then he played another trick. He would send 6 or 7 glasses. So each one would be poured out of the same bottle, and the bottle was paid by the state exchequer, not from his pocket. So at the end of the day, he would get about 6,000 to 7,000 rupees for 1 bottle of champagne. I'll tell you about more of his tales about how he would extract more money than he would invest. It was customary that on several occasions, the nobles of the state would go and offer the ruler a gold coin. The ruler was expected, normally the other rulers, what they would do is they would take it, touch it, and give it back to the owner. In Nizam's case, it was not going to be so. He had a paper basket along with his throne, and each time somebody presented him a gold coin, he would put it in this. Once, what happened, the gold coin slipped from his hands and rolled down, and the owner, the one who had presented the gold coin to him, walked briskly to pick it up, and the Nizam literally went on all his 4 to get that coin. Similarly, when he would be invited on somebody's wedding ceremony, he would pick up the most valuable jewelry from the dowry of the bride. He had a collection of about 400 cars. And how he had accumulated them? Whenever he saw a car that fancied him, like whenever these guys saw a girl that fancied them, they would have it picked up. A word would be sent to the owner that the Nizam liked it, which meant that you should give it to the Nizam. He had thus accumulated about 400 cards which he never used. One day, the physician, the royal physician, came to check heartbeats, but his machine, electrocardiogram machine, would not work, and he was puzzled. Then he found out, to his chagrin, that in order to save the electricity bills, had lowered the current level. So even for his own treatment, he would not let the proper current come so that his machine could work. Nizam was mortally scared that some of his officials would poison him. So he had always a food taster, although he ate very frugal food, salads and curd, and but invariably he would have tobacco, so that his teeth were stained and were like a seesaw edges. His teeth were having seesaw edges, which was very ridiculous to look at. How would the Nizam look? He was 5 feet 3, weighed about 46 kilograms, and wore tattered clothes. Mir Usman Ali's father, the 6th Nizam of Hyderabad, was a very generous man. Amongst his many wives, he had an extramarital affair with a woman supposedly of a loose character, who was the mistress of a Marwadi. Now, it is said that his collaterals alleged that a boy was born out of this woman who was kept by his father, Usman Ali's father, who resembled the Marwadi, and they brought him to the palace. And so this boy, that's the reason they attribute that Nizam was so miserly. He accumulated wealth, didn't spend much, and was kind of a miserly person. So much so that he wrote to the British Crown that he was not his child, that Usman Ali was not his father's child. Usman Ali was enraged, and he knew that his two brothers, Salabat Jah and Sababat Jah, will now get all the property as declared by his father, Usman Ali's father, the 6th Nizam of Hyderabad. Of course, he was very cunning to let it happen, Mir Usman Ali. So he prayed to God that, please let my father die. And God's ways are so weird and strange, unfathomable. Lo and behold, the father died. And then the brothers, Salabat and Sababat Jah, they complained to the British Crown that actually the state belonged to them. It has been usurped by Usman Ali. Again, to his luck, Usman Ali's luck, Edward VII, to whom this complaint would go, died. It gave Usman Ali enough time to connive and put aside this case, the decision of this case. When Usman Ali became the ruler of the state of Hyderabad, he threw out nearly all the members of royal family, some of whom became beggars on the streets, literally. The father, Usman Ali's father, had given the Hyderabad palace in Bombay to Salabat Jah, his son, Usman Ali's so-called brother. Usman Ali wanted that Hyderabad house in Bombay. So he offered that, okay, I'll give you the money and you give the Hyderabad palace to me. Salabat agreed. So he sent, in fact, a note to the mediator, to the valuer. His name was Jahangir, some Kova Jahangir. who happened to be an upright, honest man. He refused to downvalue the property, and it was sold for 17 lakhs to Nizam. So what he did was, his treasury was 17 lakhs less now, so he converted his house as the government house, so the maintenance now would be done by the government. On the instructions of the King Emperor, Lord Curzon approached Nizam to give up Berar, which was in his domains, to the British. Nizam was persuaded by Lord's persuasive power, so he wrote a letter and saying that Berar is with them. When Nizam's Prime Minister Maharaja Sir Kishan Das came to know about it, he told Nizam that you had committed a mistake, you shouldn't have given Berar to them. So Nizam said, okay, get it back for me. So this man, the Prime Minister, goes to Lord Curzon and asks that I would like to see that paper. In good faith, of course, without suspecting any foul play. He gave him the letter back and he swallowed it. That was the end of it. Another very revealing incident happened. The Datia state, which is in the center of India, Madhya Pradesh, Datia was very famous for its butter. So Nizam came to know about it, and because Datia's ruler was his friend, he requested him to send a few tins of butter. He sent about 24 tins of butter, and when these reached the palace of Nizam was kind of overwhelmed. So he ordered that these be kept in the basement. They remained there for 2 years. When they started stinking, no officer had guts to go and tell Nizam that the butter has rotten. Finally, the Prime Minister took the courage and told him, and he was abused and driven away by Nizam. Then Nizam called Reddy, the Superintendent Police of Hyderabad. He said, sell this. Reddy said, this is not fit for human consumption. So he was abused also, but Mir Usman Ali suggested Reddy that if the humans cannot consume it, give it to the Hindu temples so that they can light their lamps, oil lamps. Reddy knew this guy won't leave him alone. So exasperated, he took all those tins, and as soon as he came out of the palace gate, he threw them in the gutter. 4 or 5 hours later, he went jubilant, and he told him, I have sold them. How much? Asked Mir Usman. 201 rupees. Oh my God, his face lit up. Mir Usman Ali meticulously noted it in one of his passbooks, so-called. 201 rupees after selling the butter. It didn't matter how slightly or small the Nizam was built, he was still a man. So how could he not be associated with any scandalous women affair? He had his own fleet of women in his harem, and he had about 80 to 90 children also. But he came to know of the Spanish Maharani of the state of Kapoor, wife of Maharaja Jagatjit Singh. So he was, in fact, when he went and saw her, he was infatuated with her and invited both of them to his state. When they came to his state, of course, the Spanish Maharani knew his overtures. So he every day would send some gift of gold or diamond to the Spanish queen. But Maharaja of Kapoor, Jagatjit Singh, all the time kept a watch on her, or through his officers. So it was not possible for the Spanish queen to come and meet Nizam. So Nizam coined a different plan. He asked one of his Maharanis to host a dinner in her honor. So because it was from a woman to a woman, the Maharaja didn't come up. He sent his ADCs, but the ADCs were stopped that only women are allowed inside. As soon as the Maharani, Spanish queen, entered the palace of the Maharani, there he was Nizam, and he took her to his own quarters or whatever palace. And nobody knows what happened, but hours went by and Jagat Singh was furious. He was repenting. Why the hell did he send her over there? Anyway, after a few hours, she came back and he, in a rage, left his state. Later on, after a few months, Nizam again wrote to him that he wanted to come there to see him. And he refused, saying, no, we are going to Europe. We cannot entertain you.